This conference will now be recorded.
Call to order our budget work session meeting at 5:35 p.m. on February 26th. We'll start with our flag salute and moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What's going on with my computer?
Shh, moment of silence.
Sorry.
You ruined the moment of silence.
Sorry.
And here he goes.
Rachel, can you give us the sunshine statement and roll call, please?
Yes. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been given by filing written notice with the township governing body and the township clerk, mailing written notice to the township's official newspapers and the township website, posting written notice on the official bulletin board in the Tuscarora Township Municipal Building, and providing notice to all have requests seen. Ms. Batra?
Here.
Ms. Codestale?
Here.
Mr. Lika?
Here.
Mr. Panthelli?
Here.
Ms. Hughes?
I'm going to have to steal this
Any
with
agenda
chair.
items for Work session requiring recusal. Seeing none, we're going to move into our 2026 budget discussion. Before I do, and before Steve comes up and yells at us, just a reminder to my fellow committee members and myself to speak into your microphone. And please feel free if I don't to remind us again.
Are they working? Because
So before we move into our discussion, I want to give a little background because we did things a little differently. I did things a little differently this year. I don't think it comes as a surprise to anybody in this room that my main focus since running for township committee, since being on township committee, has been our taxes. My main focus this year has been working on a budget that does not increase our taxes. I'm proud to sit here. I'm proud to share a budget draft with my fellow committee for us to work off of that I think lays the groundwork for us to be able to do that this year. I met with our CFO. We made significant cuts. You'll see looking at the documents in front of you that we cut almost $400,000 out of the budget will be the spending that we're proposed to spend this year, depending on any changes that we make tonight, is proposed at less than what we did last year. And it came out of a result of the conversations that we've had up here. It came out of our Q&As, our conversations with our department heads that we had all come in to talk to us. And it came out of the recs from the Financial Advisory Committee, which is this wonderful group of volunteers that give their time to make recommendations to us on the budget. And they made some really good ones this year, and we were able to work them into the document that you have in front of you. I think that we were able to take out some of the extra. I think we were able to move some things around, take out some of the fluff, and have a budget in front of us that maintains the level of service that we've been providing, if not increasing it, and maintains our efficiency. And I'm proud of it. I'm hope that we can get to a place where we're all proud of it. That's what you have in front of you. For conversation's sakes, for ease of our conversation tonight, you have also in front of you a document that summarizes the change from the budget that we had last week, right? That was last week. That I think that we can go through and discuss and talk about over the next hour and a half that we have.
If I could just add for the logistics. So if you look at the submission you have of the budget handout today, you have the first column, which is what you were reviewing over the past month. The second column now is actually showing the new number it will be if it's taken with the recommendations that have come in, the proposals that have come in from the mayor. So it lets you do a comparison if you yourself had also looked at it to maybe talk about that number. You can see where at least one of your committee people would like that number to be down to. So that was just it's a canned program, so I can't quite do everything that we, to shout it out to you, but that was the way we handled it there. And then, of course, you have the listing of the very specific accounts that were changed.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it looks to be $100,171 less than last year's budget.
I would like to point out, though, that I'm skipping down, and I don't really like to do this, but
Let me get my question answered.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, so right now, we were at 7.1 million. So now taking out these, and last year we were at 6.68. Where's my last year? Yeah.
$6,845,171.
So we are coming in lower
Okay, that's
at the moment. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not saying we adopted this, but if we did.
Nope.
It's $6,745,000. It's essentially $100,171.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, didn't you see me wrong?
No, I don't want to say, though, that I was very shocked, and we didn't get a chance because we didn't get a chance to make a lot of comments at the earlier budget meetings. But 106, I apologize, I left my glasses at home.
Oh, no.
But 162,000 of that was the landscaping contract. I don't even know why that was in the budget, because last year we made the decision not to renew the contract. And we actually hired 2 new people in Public Works. And I'd like to point out that, and I tried to call you today, Wednesday, and George told me later you guys were on a budget meeting, is that it did not stand out to us that we hired these 2. So obviously, that's what I wanted to get clarification, because we hired 2 new people to take the place of this landscaping
They
contract.
are, and they are in the
Yes,
budget under
yes.
salary and wage.
Oh, I'm sure they are. But my point is that we cut out 162,000, and yet the Budget Advisory Committee went through this carefully. I tried to find. So what I'm saying is that the increase that we made in hiring these 2 did not stand out as being anybody saying there's a huge increase to public service.
Right.
So I think the wages. So I think it was a good decision that was made by the committee. But I want to say that that should not have been in the budget, because that was a decision.
There was some confusion on
No,
our end
I know.
in-house
I'm just
in
wanting
that,
to make
that
that
we knew we
clear.
hired the people. But since they were new, we weren't sure that, I wasn't sure that it was cutting. So when it was submitted,
Well-
which was probably just because it has always
Yes.
been, it was not until that first meeting
Well,
with
we
you
had
guys
made
that
the
it was coming
decision
right out.
last year not to renew
Budget
the
Advisory
contract.
Committee didn't want to hire 2 new people.
I know,
Yes,
and
I
they
know
already,
they
Free
didn't.
Camp
Then
was the
that's why
mayor at
I'm
the
bringing
time,
it up.
And he wanted to keep going forward with the
I'm
landscape
bringing it
contract.
up.
So I don't understand that whole
I don't understand
scenario.
it either, to be quite
Yeah.
honest with you, Jeremy. I don't know.
Reading that.
I can't, and I didn't ask anybody about that. But first of all, because they brought that up, I wanted to clarify that. There's a couple other things in their report I wanted to clarify. But I also just wanted to make that clear to the people in the audience. This decision was made because we couldn't renew we had to make a decision
make a
whether or not we
strike.
were going to renew the contract. So the decision was made not to, and we did hire those people. So we're going forward with that. So
Last
I'm just saying, yes, last year.
Under Free Camp.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying, yes, I'm not saying, I'm just saying I wanted to make it clear to the public that this was a decision that was made. And why it was in the budget when we had actually both of these in the budget, I don't know. But I just wanted to clarify that. I have a lot of other comments, but I wanted to start with that because it was such a huge thing.
And I think it was a good decision we made, and just for the public's clarity, when you look at the dollar amount, it's pretty equal, but we will have the extra public works help for the rest of the year. So that's why the committee made the decision, and I think it's paying off. We have a great team over there. We see that over and over. So I agree.
Exactly. Thank you, Rebecca.
And I believe I know the answer, but just for my edification, this does include the increase to the healthcare cost that we're going to incur this year on our portion of the municipal employees.
yes,
Correct.
absolutely.
Yes,
So
but- and I'm going to ask George, it's on our regular agenda to provide a little more clarity on what the township has been working on, which should provide savings. Unfortunately, we don't know how much savings yet, so they're not in this budget, but we will see a reduction in that.
I'd rather.
we can, yes, it will not be reduced based on the decision you're making tonight because there's not enough timing to do it. And hopefully we won't spend it, but we have to budget it on the old world.
No. And
Yep.
And that, so essentially this budget with still like relatively flat to a reduction does include, I think we took 160,000 increase in just our portion. Okay, 200.
Went from 4 to 6.
Yeah, it's almost 200.
Okay, and that's it. Thank you.
And that's an important point, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's just something that we have absolutely no control over as a township. We just have to eat that increased cost. We looked at half a dozen other options, I think, to try to get into a different health plan or to look at other ways to save, and we were not eligible. We weren't able to. So that's just a very increased line item that we just have to accept, unfortunately.
Well, I think that we are making, offering some, hopefully the program that we voted on, we'll be voting on tonight will help with that. But yes, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. I just wanted to, because it was a big issue. I do think we should go through, line by line in deference to the folks who did come out, and maybe, I don't know if we have anyone online, and look at these. I will say that most of these I was happy to see were things that I already had made notes of or that we had already discussed. So very little of this, personally speaking for myself, was a surprise, because I think we had some of this stuff, the bigger items we had already discussed, and a lot of them were already in my notes. but, we can go ahead.
Yeah, we can, whoever wants to start, we can move down the list. And this, so these are the changes from the last dated budget to this one, but there are, I mean, if there's other portions of the budget that we have not gone through, I think we hit most of the big ones, but if there's anything else just in the general budget too, you know, we have the time, we can certainly go through that as well.
Well, I'll start because I do have a few questions, and I don't mean to monopolize, but I spent a lot of time on this this morning, this afternoon. One question that I did have, and I don't think it's going to happen, but because under the tax assessor for the reeval stipend, I know I asked Glenn about this, and he said that because of what's going on with the county, it's unlikely that we are going to have a reevaluation this year because of what's going on with the county. George, this is kind of a question for you. If for some reason, say they address the problems that they're having and decided they wanted the townships to go forward with the reevals, can they make us do it this year, or can we push back and say it's not in our budget, we have to do it next year?
Well, one of the things is, and I've never dealt with this type of activity where the assessor has to do all those reviews, and that's what the compensation is for.
Yes.
He has to go through, I believe, all
All of them,
values.
all of them,
So that would
every
have to
property in
follow-
town.
Just so you know, that would have to follow a full round of inspections throughout the entire town. So we would have to get the approvals, go through the process, then award a contract to a property reval company. They would then go do all the inspections. I don't think that would all happen by the end of this year anyway.
But when you go through a reval, that, just to talk about the funding process, it's passed as a special emergency, so it kind of follows more like the way you do capital, and you're going to pay for it over the course of 5 years. And that's how the funding's going to be. It's going to be in your budget. It's going to be split, for 5 years on out. You can bond for it, and that just depends on where our finances are at the time. Now, I asked Glenn your question, Denise, because I too myself was kind of curious as to where we stood. At the moment, Burlington County has had some challenges. I'm not going to go into the detail. But at the moment, it is the state who is deciding whether to issue the reval order. They have issued it on 2 towns in Burlington County. They have done it on the ones that have the lowest ratio, who are most in need of it. Whether there is another 25 in line is what I have heard. Whether or not they're going to push through and do it that way, because the order is kind of, it's not like they're ordering us to do it, because we're also looking to do it. It's everybody's in on the same page. If they were to do it and the township's not in shape, no, we can just we could have it postponed till the following year. The reality to what happens when your ratio drops is that a lot of the things, like take the county, we're paying more for the county because our ratio has dropped. So there is a clear financial effect of having a low ratio when you then, materialize some of these things to combine with other towns. So there is an offset to it.
I just want, because I did talk to Glenn about it generally yesterday, but I forgot to ask him that question. But he did tell me 2 other towns have been told by the state they have.
Those are the first 2 in Burlington County since they've gotten it going.
Yeah.
But he says there's 2025 in line. So where we would fall, when they would get to the next ones. Our maps have been sent down there. My bad. No, our maps have been sent down there, and so they
Okay.
have everything they need in their hand. They just need to make the call.
Thank you. The police vehicle, we discussed this last week, but I don't want to forget to discuss this tonight. I'm fully in favor of cutting the cost for this year, but I don't know that we made a definite decision, but I am going to ask that we put it in the capital budget, so that we're allowing the police the opportunity at some point during the year, we can, if they need the car. And we had a discussion about this last week, so I don't want to revisit the wheel too much, but we didn't actually make a decision. So I think we should make a decision, given that we are going to sell off older cars or give them to the construction department. Public Works, I just want to make sure.
Instead of jumping
Okay.
all over Denise, Rebecca, why don't we just start from the
Go
top?
through?
And
Okay,
go through it
all right,
on this sheet here.
that's fine.
Yeah, and instead of just jumping back and forth,
Yeah,
back and forth,
okay.
back and forth, go right down the list where the cuts were made.
May I,
So a lot of,
does this follow linear of our budget too?
Yes.
They 100% follow the
Thank you.
order that they're in. Yep.
Thank you.
So I gave you the main category of the department, then I gave you the line item it hit, right?
Okay, thank you.
so self-explanatory, office supplies, postage. We have a ton of money in the budget for office supplies. Every single department has money that they never spend for office supplies. We cut it out. I mean, I always say I've used like a pack of pens a year as office supplies. So I think that that was a easy savings for our township. Copier, it was not needed. Wendy, if I'm forgetting things from our conversation, feel free to jump in. Or
thank
it was duplicative with the computer equipment. I mean, we went through, we looked at what each of these line items were going.
We
to.
did, and
Some of them
after-
were used or needed,
Nope.
and-
And after we were done, in respect to all the fellow department heads, I did talk to everybody, make sure that there was not something out there that I didn't know how to convey to you or whatnot, and make sure everybody was comfortable with the same thing. And they did bless it.
Again, clerk, finance, I think they're pretty self-explanatory as we move down the list.
And to answer the question about that, I just wanted, again, to be cognizant of the budget advisory. That was in the budget twice, and we had already discussed this, that one was going to be.
It was.
taken out. So that's why that 13,000 is taken out, is because it was in the budget twice.
Yes.
And we did leave that in there, but I am going to ask Karen as well if she's evaluated other programs, just because it is costly. It does have a costly annual expense
As an
as
annual.
well. So that is an open-ended that we're going to check with Karen and just see if there's any other alternatives that would accomplish the same thing, increase our transparency, but not be so costly. Moving down, I know we hit on the reval stipend. Even if we don't do the reval, or even if we do the reval, I think that this is something that should come before the committee. That is just a stipend to the individual in our office who would be doing the reval. I personally, this is my personal belief, I think that people should be compensated for their work, but if you're a salaried employee and you're doing, work within your job, I don't necessarily agree that there should be a stipend. But again, that's something.
There will be an opportunity to have that whole discussion on the reval if we get the order, if we go through, because there is a reval ordinance that has to be passed. There's the reval funding. And at that point, all of those, it's kind of like capital. You'll have the follow-up time where you can make your final decisions at that point in time.
Moving down, HPC is an area where we saw some increases. Denise, you know this better than I do, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, we are in the process of updating our ordinance, and part of that is that we have to do notifications to the community. We have to do surveying that will require at least some. Susie and Lorraine have been doing a lot of work in preparation to save us a lot of money on this, but it does have to be reviewed by a professional. So that money is in there for those purposes. County recording, things that have to be done as a part of updating the ordinance.
And we were able to balance out some of that spending. There's been money in the budget for the HBC that hasn't been spent, so we were able to move some things around so that it's not a huge increase to be able to get those things done that we need to be able to do to be able to move forward.
Yeah, part of that was hoping we'd get it. Yeah, but anyway, yes.
Moving down, the benefit waiver, we as a committee made the decision to stop offering a benefit waiver to our employees, resulting in savings for our taxpayers. The new vehicle we hit on, I guess it's a bigger discussion if we're going to move it into capital. I don't know that we this year. I know they just got a new vehicle. I think a month ago we took ownership of it.
Yeah, but that was ordered over 6 months ago. So, I mean, I'm not saying, but if we wanted to order one in September for them to get for next year, I'd like to have that flexibility.
Yeah, we can certainly
Yes.
figure that out.
All this was predicated is I thought we gave Chief the task of telling us 2 cars to repurpose.
We did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think all of that.
And and in my mind, I think that to me is a done deal, Leo. I mean, I think we made that pretty
And I
clear,
think
all of
what
us.
Denise is saying, because I don't know that I expressed this either, but let's just say the decision's made, Chief gets no car in 2026, but you're willing to buy him one in 2027. Yes, we probably need to start that in 2026, so he gets it halfway through 2027. There is still at least a 6 to 9 month lag on getting any kind of vehicle these days. So, if it's something that can be discussed at year end, maybe that's the way to handle it.
And for those that were not here last week when we had the discussion, I think all of us were in agreement on this, that we're trying to get from an annual purchase of a car down to at least 18 months to 2 years purchase of a car. And putting it in the capital budget will give us the flexibility to do that.
And one other thing about the police vehicle is that's something that for as long as I've been involved with the budget advisory committee, so the last 3 years, it's something that they recommend every year that we take a look at. We hear from residents who drive by the lot and say, why are there so many cars sitting there? It's not something new. We've heard it year after year, but I think it's time we finally take some action on it. Roads, so part-time, this is something that we asked Troy about. Let me just make sure I have the right line item. He had put in several $1,000s to be able to hire extra summer help. We had internal conversations that it may not be necessary because we just expanded his department. He has more help than ever, so we likely won't need that. So we took it out. We made several other cuts to the DPW budget. Various things that were able to be cut, parts and supplies, clothing allowance, landfill fees. The one increase there was to the mailbox line item. With the storms that we've had a lot of damaged mailboxes, and we have to increase that line item to be able to cover the ordinance that the township committee put in effect last year to reimburse for damages.
The one question I had, George, and we could even ask Troy this later if we're not, because I talked to him today. I know that he already doubled his budget from this 2024 budget for salt. So this is where I want to make sure that we're not every year taking stuff that we don't have the money in this year's budget and just putting it forward. I'd like to make sure that we have enough. So, and this is a conversation when we hit to stormwater too, is I am all in favor of cutting the budget, believe me, 100%. But I also don't want to get ourselves into a situation where we are hitting a lot of an emergency funds because we've cut too much out and we don't have money to put in for things. And this is it's a concern to me in terms of looking at the storm that we had this year. We've already according to Troy, almost doubled our cost in salt. And I don't know about what other costs there were around this
There was a
storm.
big upcharge.
Yes, right.
Deputy mayor is more aware than I am.
Yes.
Costs involved with the demand.
Yes. Oh, I'm not saying this is a criticism of Troy. I'm saying this
Oh,
is
no.
as a looking forward. I just want to make sure that we aren't cutting things too much, especially given, and here I'm moving on to the stormwater.
Just remember the salt, you keep bringing salt up in 2014.
Well, I'm just saying.
I think we initiated a reserve count around 2014 and there's 60,000.
And we funded that over the course of probably 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So there's money there for salt.
Yeah, I'm
There's
just
money in the
using,
budget and there's 60,000 reserve put aside.
And we used some of the reserve. What has happened with salt to get two historically heavy snowstorms, especially as close as they were, the budgets aren't handling that. You can go to any town. Nobody.
I'm just using salt because to me, this is an example of that we have a year now where a lot of things, I mean, the $2,000 for the mailboxes, that's a small thing, but that's a huge increase from $500, which is what we budgeted in the past. So I don't want us to get into a situation with, primarily I'm talking about stormwater, because we don't know what the cost of landfill will be. I mean, Troy gave us a educated guess at best. This is the first time we will be working these, doing all of this road sweeping. We've never done this in the past. I just want to make sure that we aren't cutting so much that we are going to spend our year, because this stormwater, a certain amount of this is mandated by the state. It's not something.
Most of it is mandated by the state.
We
Yes.
don't have control over this. So I'm just questioning. And that's a question that I think I would like to have further discussion on, whether this is
My opinion.
prudent.
Well, wait, let me respond first, since we're the ones, since I took the dollars out, and I agree 100%. I mean, and we were very, very aware when we went through line item by line item to be very conscious that we're not setting the town up for any future disaster next year. It wasn't like, let's make this budget good and screw next year's budget. It was, how can we make this budget good and set us up for a good position for future years' budgets as well. Specifically for stormwater, there's still 3 times as much in that stormwater budget as he spent this year. So even if costs do dramatically increase, I mean, there's still a lot of extra. It's not like we gave him the same amount for this year or less than this year. He still has over 3 times as much as he spent this year on it. And we were still able to cut out that. I mean, this was cut by half, I think.
He's
Yeah.
not gonna get to every base this year.
No,
The basins aren't even in this.
No, the
The
basins aren't in
it.
this.
This
Yeah.
is
This-
street.
the
sweeping
basins
and
have their
inlet
own trust
repairs
fund.
and stuff like
That's
that.
That's right. But this was just the maintenance, the street sweeping and all this stormwater, we'll call it the SWIP, is the acronym, was grossly over budgeted.
When we looked at
No.
this in November, you have to remember these numbers start in November. And in all honesty, he hit those numbers. We still had no idea. We weren't sure, he wasn't sure of where the deadlines are coming and we threw it out there. So absolutely, he had prepped me the day before my meeting yesterday with exactly where we're comfortable. I then left the meeting. We had further conversation with the engineer because the engineer is the one who's most informed of, we have specific deadlines. So one of the things you may not have noticed that I added another $5,000 back once that, which we had discussed that if the conversation led that way. So I put it back after talking to Joe about where our mandatory things is. And some of those mandatory things lead to where some of the other costs may be. So this has been really thoroughly looked at in the past 24 hours.
Okay.
36 hours to really be comfortable because it is an unknown. It's been an unknown since we started.
Yeah, I just want to
Um,
make sure that we're being prudent in terms of,
I actually have the same concern as Denise. I mean, I know that we are all, we fully support fiscal responsibility.
mhm.
But then stormwater, I see the 55K reduction. It's just that, given New Jersey's increasing stormwater compliance requirements and flooding concerns, I mean, I just want to understand how will this impact any MS4, the state standards. And so we have to be just, I guess, be mindful of that and not get.
yeah, and we are. And like Wendy said, this has been looked at. A lot of these recommendations came from Troy himself after he sat down with us. He was able to relook at his budget and really determine where there was extra and where we could cut as well. And like I said, I mean, we still have 3 times the amount in this budget for stormwater as he spent last year. So, I mean, I think we're in good shape and, I hope we don't, but if we get to a situation where we're not, then, we'll be able to address
Mhm.
it.
well, yeah, I was just saying though, that, I mean, if we had too much in, we put it into next year, into the surplus going forward, as opposed to not having enough and having to have emergency situations come up. That was my only concern. I did talk to Troy. I know Troy was on board with some of this, but I don't know that he was aware it was being cut quite this dramatically.
No,
I just want
is
to bring
aware.
this up as a concern.
He is aware.
He is aware.
Well-
We probably went $5,000 lower than he had him and I had
Okay.
kind of talked about.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an unknown. There's no doubt it's an unknown. And I will say that, as we have been tightening the budget, that is the side effect of it is if it doesn't work, you do have to pass an
We've
emergency.
been saying it's an unknown for
But-
3 years now. We were saying it was an unknown the last year I was on committee.
Well, because they keep on extending the deadline.
And, yeah,
Says they
understand that,
keep
but
on
we
extending
spent
the deadline.
And to
last year, you put
Saruchi's point, they.
Oh, yeah. Well, because we thought they were gonna hit with more per quarter and you know what I mean? So as I said, I'm not trying to defend it, but it
I'm
starts
very
in November.
I'm comfortable.
I mean,
Oh, we're comfortable with it.
we had, this
Okay.
is nothing new. I've been doing this for 10 years. This is nothing new. This has been the normal, outside of public service for 10 years.
No. The requirement of the state forcing us to do things is
Yes,
what
but
the
other
new part.
towns, Lee's worked in other towns
No,
where it's been.
again, where they've chosen to do it. Yes, because they hit theirs quicker than we hit it.
Yes.
So, no, I'm,
Okay. I just wanted to bring that up because that was my concern, but I'm not gonna,
Well, that's what I know, just
against
to
that
finish,
as
so,
long as we're
so we
having
have, in the past 3 years,
dive
we've
into
passed
this.
2 emergencies, out there. And thankfully, we've been in a position to be able to satisfy them come November, so they didn't turn out to be accounting-wise true emergencies, which are what carries into your next year's budget and creates its own line item. So I would hope that, gosh forbid, we're off by 10, 20 grand, we would handle it. We passed the emergency to get through the mid-year when we don't have another choice, but hopefully we'd be able to
I'd almost
handle it.
rather do an emergency appropriation than raise taxes and tell the taxpayers that we're going to raise taxes and
No, so you understand that when you pass an emergency resolution, you are saying, I am going to raise this money next year.
that's fine. But I'd rather say that than say
I'm raising it
raising
just in case.
taxes just in case. And if not, we're just going to roll it over in the surplus.
Right.
Okay.
and I could be wrong because you jogged my memory regarding the basin account. That can also be used.
That could be
for
used for stormwater.
stormwater as well for
But
the
it
basin.
can't be, because in some ways, we have a plan for that basin money and it doesn't include stormwater,
You
so
have
we're
a
gonna.
plan- You have a plan of $562,000 on a $500,000 bid.
that will be
There
done.
is no bid.
Well, we allocated 500,000, there's
We
560.
didn't allocate any.
No, we didn't do anything. We're just talking. Nothing's been set and nothing's done anything. It just sits in a trust account. But again, you can't always use the same pot for multi-purposes. That one has whether it's a set plan, and I'm not saying it can't change, but in an idea of how it might go, that money's not going to last forever and there is going to things. So we have always looked at keeping that specific to basins. So I just want to believe that there would be an extra 200,000 also for stormwater, because then we'd have a hole in the basin.
Stormwater is
Basins.
basin.
Is it?
It's specifically
That's
to
why
basin. It
I'm gonna
all
let
goes
you
to the
finish, but
basins.
Basin is stormwater. Stormwater is basins, inlets, roadways, gutters, anything you could think of that water collects goes into there. That account is not just for dredging basins. That account is for fixing inlets, for repurposing, remortaring, relifting, resetting inlets, street sweeping,
Yep.
basin,
All of it.
dredging.
But you're now talking, those are regular yearly activities that you need to use. So they're never going to go away. You're going to have to do them year after
You will
year.
not have to do most of those year after year. That's what I'm trying to say. Most of these are 20-year events.
Events, okay.
The inlet repairs, first of all, they should last more than they were, which is another question, but they're here. Some of these inlets we're fixing were the first ones put in.
Right.
The basins, if you just spent 500 and some $1,000 for a street sweeper, my expectation is the basins that took 15 years to silt should take 20 years next time.
The
because
next
we're now
time.
Before you even said that. Mm-hmm.
So-
You're right,
No
Lito.
longer.
We had that. Okay. Well, then that puts my mind at ease. I just wanted to bring that up because I don't want, like I said, anyway.
Okay.
So.
Moving down, more of the same community garden. I'm going to ask Wendy to explain how we're doing this, because I want to be clear that we're not cutting from the community garden. I know the folks up here have been
Yeah, no,
incredibly supportive. We love the community garden.
I had questions
were
about
able to
this
do-
too.
Okay, every once in a while, Wendy does make a decision when there isn't really a true in-house employee ownership of it. So when I looked at community garden, there was a full intention that community garden is going to be self-sufficient. And what I did is I just put in, last year, we had no idea what the numbers were going to be. We agreed on what the budget would be. I carried that same budget over. In speaking with Rebecca, she pointed out we're going to be equal. So what we did is we collected $1,600 last year. Their budget is $1,600. Now, Roseanne did come in and speak with me this morning. She had some concerns. They have a trust fund. It's not that we intend them to force them to use the trust fund, but God forbid there is an emergency, it's there and available for them. We're going to monitor, as we do now, obviously it's a fee we collect, as to how much they collect. They expect to collect more this year.
That's what.
So if all of a sudden they ended up collecting $3,000, we could probably afford for them to spend a little money. The budget that they're in being parks, there could be a little, and then handle it down during transfer time. So she's very comfortable with the whole process, that there's plenty of money to do to get through the year. And if it's a little short, the trust fund is available.
So
So
by
1,600
cutting this
is what
out
we
of the
collected.
budget, we still are going to use their fees to pay for the water.
The water and miscellaneous expenses up to,
Up.
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
And what is, and their water budget is less than this?
Their water,
I
they,
want to be sure that
it wasn't
we're-
a full year last year, so it
Yes.
came out to be about $700.
Oh, okay.
So, once it goes full year, that's what I said. All of it is still partial, but we match now. What we collected last year is this year's budget. But I have a plan, gosh forbid, that even if the timing is off, water is certainly an issue, but it looks to be that her estimate was pretty good. As I said, spending $700 for half a year, that makes it $1,400 for the year. If she gets another $600-700 in contribution, then she's got her $1,000 for supplies, and she's comfortable with that.
Okay.
And then they're looking at bigger global things for the trust money, and she mentioned one to me. I don't know if anybody just heard it, because I forget what she just told me this morning, but they are looking at probably a $5,000 item that they want to purchase that would make it more pleasant out there. And that would be something that could come out of the trust fund, once whatever the community garden board agrees to.
And I did. I reached out to Roseanne. I wanted to make sure
Yeah,
that
I spoke
everybody's
to
on board.
Roseanne,
We love the
too.
garden. That's not the intent.
I just wanted to totally, no, and I spoke to Roseanne. I just also want to make sure that you're leaving enough in for.
I
us
told
to
her she
cover
has
the
any
cost.
worries, she does nothing, she just comes talk to me.
Okay.
I will take care of her
Pretty
garden.
self-sustained, as you said, Wendy. In fact, we're getting a Trex bench because we collect.
Is that what, okay.
Yeah, and so
Right.
We are able to, and Seva's donating a bench as well. So it's all volunteering, you know.
And as long as she, and I think she's good, as long as she keeps coming in, we'll keep monitoring it on out.
All right, we spoke about field maintenance, public events. We took out the taxpayer contribution to Harvest Fest. It's a wonderful event. I'm really looking forward to our 10th anniversary this year. But we received private donations last year. We increased our sponsor fees, so I don't think it's necessary that our taxpayers pay the $10,000 that they've been paying towards it. I don't know if the FAC recommended. I think they did recommend it last year, but they definitely did this year, but they definitely did last year.
We cut it, I thought, last year. But anyway, I'm in full, I think that was always the intention.
It was
when we
always the
started,
intention
and-
to make it a self-funded event,
Mhm.
so.
So we're doing
And I
it.
think
And we're
we've
doing
reached
it.
that point.
But
Yep.
going back to the field maintenance, Rebecca, is
Yes,
because I see that's a big line item.
That's the landscape.
that's
Okay,
the
okay.
contract, yeah,
I see.
that our DPW is taking over. Community events, we're increasing our community events with the police, with the public, with the community. So there's a little bit of extra dollars in there to that line item. Utilities, almost all increases. It is what it is. It stinks, but we have no control over it. The only other thing that's not on here that I want to mention is that our beloved community organizations, our library, our community house, which do so much for our community, I didn't touch their line items.
No,
They're wonderful.
I wouldn't
Grateful for
touch them
everything they
either.
do.
I think they
if we're able
add
to
so
contribute
much
a little bit
value.
to the wonderful work they do. I'm happy to.
No, I think we're all in agreement on that.
Procedure for the library and the historical society. We've done that for years. In the last year or so, we stopped doing it. So we can talk about, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think
maybe
a lot of cost. They're both.
That's definitely a Troy conversation.
Yes.
I mean, I find it, I found it troubling that we're giving them a small amount, but we stopped doing that and they're spending significantly more, other than if someone donates their time, which I know someone did with the Historical Society, but I know the library's paying somebody.
Yes.
Yeah, certainly open to it.
The only other thing is, and I hate to bring this up, but I think we owe it to the people to bring this up, is we had decided last week, the week before, we put in a policy about raising salaries, and we limited that to how we're going to do it. And I think we need in this budget to stick to that we're not going to raise salaries, at least at this point in time, over what is the cost of living that we're giving to all of our, for aside from the police contract. Obviously, that's a totally different ballgame.
But I do believe the police budget was based on the last year. It wasn't based on the current staffing. It's based on the current staffing, not the current rank. So I think we did a carryover of last year, correct?
I'm not
Salary?
talking about the police salary.
I know you're not
Yes.
saying, I wanted to ask that as well, though. I'm sorry, when you're done.
No, it's an excellent point, Lito, but I do want to cut
Yeah,
that
no,
10,000.
There's extra money proposed in the budget. I left it in there. I think that we should have that conversation. Without agreeing to it, I did leave the funding in there in case it is something the committee agreed to do over the next year. I know we do have a new procedure if an employee decides to go through with that new procedure.
Well, I just bring it up because $10,000 is a lot of money relative to most of the cuts that we've made. The other thing, and did we answer your question? Because I don't,
No. So my question is this, we lost a lot of long-term police officers last year. So this year we have a lot of new hires who have a lower base salary. Is our police salary budget based off the current staffing with the current salaries, or the historic staffing with the historic salaries?
No, it's of course based on what's currently going on.
So we are not protected. So we are showing the 8 new officers at starting salaries.
Yes.
So we're not protected then in a contract with the police. We have nothing. Their contract comes up in August. It's not going to go down.
No, it's going to go up. It's going to be increased
so
by a
you're
normal
saying
cost
do
of
we have the
living.
dollars?
That's what I'm asking. I thought maybe I'm stuck. I thought I was asking pretty clear. Do we have the dollars to
no,
cover?
it's a good
I
question.
think it goes to the end of the year.
Yeah, it's not going to
Okay,
cut
so,
mid-year.
So the
January 1st of
contract would be.
23, it goes to the end.
I was under the impression it was August, so it's not August.
Well, we have to negotiate the contract.
Contract
It-
for,
I guess the
okay, so we would
increase.
put it in next year's budget. Correct.
But that brings to my mind, uh, one of the things that I did think we needed, to discuss is that the Budget Advisory Committee did make a recommendation that we, hire a labor attorney to do that negotiations, and I think we should at least discuss that. I don't know
I
how
don't-
I feel about it.
I don't think so. I think
Okay,
it's going well.
it has gone very
Every
well in
year
the
we've
past.
done it. I mean,
I
I'm
would be
inclined
afraid
to
of
agree
the
with
can
you.
of worms you'd open by bringing in that.
But I didn't want to ignore the recommendation. I think we owe them.
at least 4 times, and
I've done it twice.
I don't-
No, we always have gone very
They're
As soon
well.
as you go with the labor attorney, they're gonna bring their.
They're going to bring the health insurance into it, and they're
Not their
winning an
health insurance,
arbitration.
They're gonna bring their union rep in.
Yeah, I don't believe it's a
We've
good move
never,
for
ever
this
had-
police
we've never
department.
done that. We've never had to do it, and
No.
I don't agree. with
I
it.
get why it's used. I've been a part of doing it in other communities. It is very essential in some places. Here, it is impressive how willing to sit down and have real conversations your police department has done, and it's led you to some great contracts in the 15 years I've been here. I would be scared of what the other side would do if you then brought in a hired gun, as it were.
They're gonna bring in theirs.
There's going to bring in theirs. And health insurance is what is being hit in the other communities. So pretty much they could end up not contributing anything to offset the cost of the health insurance. That is a negotiable item that every police department is going for. That's the number one thing they go for first. And that has a significant dollar attached to it.
Okay, I totally agree. I just didn't want to ignore that because I think we owe it to the Budget Advisory Committee to bring it up as a discussion, amongst ourselves because they did make that recommendation. Okay, thank you.
I will start that I don't disagree with anything on this, the pluses and the minuses. And I feel stormwater is more in line with what it should be.
Thank you.
It's a good budget.
Thank you.
I think we're pretty much on the same page with it. I did want to bring that up about the stormwater. I'm not opposed to it. I just wanted to make sure that we're really giving some thought to it but anyway, yeah.
Seeing no other comments, are we good to move to public comment?
Can we just maybe summarize where we stood at the end of our meeting with capital? Just
Yeah.
to make sure. So one of the things, we've talked about the capital improvements over time, and I know some of the decisions weren't made. And one of the things that I say every year with this is I only need this. It's like a memo page in the budget. It's not locking you into anything and it doesn't. So in the discussion that I had with Jeremy and Rebecca, we're settled on a couple of things. The purchase of land that we've done for the affordable housing, it's already done. So that is a part of your capital plan in this year. I think the tractor and the flail mower were agreed to at the 125,000. Jeremy can
Yes.
kind of talk about
Yes.
the purpose a little more. And we're going to stop there. Now, the reality too, when I talk about the memo pages, I think there's a lot of indecision on what other capital projects might happen. So what's going to happen as you go through the rest of the year and you want to talk about another capital project, you're just going to have to pass a resolution before you pass the ordinance. The resolution will put the idea into the budget. That'll then allow you to adopt the ordinance.
Did Troy get the proposals I asked for the roof? the
He
generator,
got
and the
2 of the
septic?
3. He thought that he missed in the snow. He thought, hold on, I got that paper. I think it's septic. He thought he wanted to go back because he worried it came in when he was doing snow. But the generator was 45, the roof was 50.
I think you could be comfortable putting 125
125 will do the improvements.
and then give a little in case something has to be
100,
done on the
so we'll do
other side.
135.
And these are for what we're deeming essential DPW shop
Improvements.
Yes.
How about 140?
No, I think 130 is fine.
130? Okay.
Yep.
You got it. So we'll have those. And again, it's not going to hold you back. It just means if you want to do something throughout the year, we'll pass a resolution before we pass the ordinance.
And that's gonna get us to a place where the DPW building is safe and healthy for these guys to be working.
I'm in agreement with that.
And I did agree with the Budget Advisory Committee that we shelve the relocation of the complete renovation this year.
I say once we.
Oh,
once-
yeah.
Once we start this process right here, we just move forward with it and
Year over
it
year,
stays there.
Oh, I agree. I've never wanted to move it.
I don't think we can, I
Um,
don't think we can justify it.
No, I
to-
can't either. I do think that like I said before, I would like going forward to look at,
Year over year, we'll add it.
no, I'm saying look at how we're going to change that over there. I think we need to spend some time this year looking at that. Once Joe gets moving with the Green Acres clarification, I would like to look at, are we going to be able to put some parcels over there for,
Joe, when he
but
looked at his
that's
budget,
a discussion for another.
he did take out his review of DPW and looking at the concepts of the two or whatnot. But what we did discuss is still going through with the subdivision for the Green Acres, because anything you'd want to do in the future, we're too far to let, you don't want to have to go back and do that again down the line. So completing that part of it, getting it done, because that'll just free you for the future to do whatever. And a lot of the money's already been spent to get it done. Let's see it through to the end. So we
No,
did
I
leave
agree.
$5,000 in to finish that part of it.
Well, even if we don't spend a lot of time and money on engineering, I think first of all, we need to look and see, is there a market out there for ratables? I think involve the Economic Advisory Committee to see if we want to put some ratables there. We
Mhm.
can do that and put in, because the plan that Joe had given us in the past does allow for that. And I think we need to make a decision.
And all of that is going to be contingent on the subdivision. That's why that part's going to
Right.
happen.
No,
Then
no,
everything
I'm
else can
saying, though,
follow. Yeah.
that I just want to bring this up now because I've been pushing for this all year, and I think that we need to start to make some decisions. So I want to make that very clear that I'm going to be pushing. To get back to the Capitol, I did make the request, and I would like to see us put in the police into Capitol, and we can make a decision later in the year in discussion with the police chief when they're going to need another vehicle next year or in 18 months from now. But I would like to see us at least have that flexibility.
I'm good with leaving it out. That's my opinion.
I'm okay leaving it out for this year too, but making a note that next year it's something that'll either have to go in the budget or capital. I mean, even
Yeah.
if we put it in next year, I mean, it'd still only be going a year and a half without a new vehicle building in, the 6 month build time, which I'm comfortable with.
And God forbid one of these cars goes down, because that is the other possibility. One of the things about having a car in the budget allowing you to do it, every now and then a car can get smashed up and be totally garbage unexpectedly, not having the, and that's all I'm saying. God forbid something like that happen, then you pass your resolution, you still have the process where you could handle it.
We lost 3 in one day.
Is that the max? Okay.
We lost 3 in one day. One got shot up. 9/11. One got, no, it wasn't 9/11. It was the one guy that went berserk.
I was going to say, I was
on
here
Air
at
Force
the,
Base.
Yeah, it was the week after 9/11, wasn't it?
I don't remember if it was week after 9/11, but I
No, but it was the week after. I just thought it was.
remember it.
right.
Guy was shot.
Yeah.
So God forbid something like that, you still have options to work around it that wouldn't be attacking either,
Yes, it was. It was right after.
And I think the only other one is the ambulance equipment, and if it really comes down to do it, we can pass the resolution, or do you want to agree?
The question is if we're gonna put it in the budget or capital. I'm comfortable leaving it in capital at this
That's what I'm
point.
saying.
Capital, you're good with capital? Everybody's good? Okay,
I would like to leave it in capital.
you got it. Okay, that finishes that one.
Wendy, is there anything else from your perspective that we should be talking about tonight?
No, I think that gets me going. Obviously, I'll be producing you a rate versus surplus. It probably won't be till next week. I am looking at we're going to start anticipating the rec fees. The community is certainly using all of the requirements out there. That'll get us a little new item of revenue. It certainly is a consistent item of flow of money that's going to keep coming into the township. So that'll help, take a little ease on surplus. It doesn't in the long run. It eventually goes to surplus anyway, but you will see that new line item in there. I did just refer state aid did stay flat. Thank God it stayed flat instead of going down. And
Is that 500 or 480? What?
518, I believe it is, 518,000. And other than that, the numbers, and I will put it, they're looking very similar to last year. The one discussion we also had on the side was of the pipeline money. And whether or not we wanted to use some of that. And I think the three of us, I think it was okay with, we could leave that out.
I think we need to hold on to the pipeline money because we're going to start to see, we're going to have to do a lot of repairs in Old York Village over the next 5 to 10 years.
But that's not pipeline roads. Can we do that? Do you
I
remember?
thought
Those
we
aren't
were
pipeline
allowed to
roads.
use that money as we saw fit. That was what John said. We should clarify that.
We shouldn't just point out Old York Village.
Well, I'm
There's a
just,
lot of
no,
roads
no,
that need
oh,
repair
there are. But the reason why I say that is older and the other roads that we cannot get grants for. The big roads that we are getting grants for, I think we continue to do that. But we have, and you're right, I live on one of the ones that's already starting to fail. And so that's why it's in my head because, so I think we need to
I think we
keep
did a
that
good
in
job making
mind.
a streamlined budget, but I would rather leave the pipeline money.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
Because I think we're going to need it.
I agree.
Before we move into public comment, just a quick thank you to my fellow committee members. I know we spent a lot of time on the budget over the past couple of weeks. Thank you for your time, your work on this. And thank you to the public, to the folks who show up, to the folks who catch up after the meetings, who are here online, in person. Thank you all. It's so important. Just thank you. And with that, can I get a motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody would wish to speak, please start with your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Sudhir Gokhale. I work on the Finance Budget Advisory Committee along with Srikanth. My address is 15 Collington Street. What else do I have to mention?
You're good. That's it.
So, as I heard the discussion about the two DPW hires, I think the Budget Advisory Committee was under the impression that the hire decision is yet to be made. And that's why there was a budget advisory recommendation to reconsider that or not curtail the contract, just continue with the contract and not hire. I'm not sure how Srikanth missed this, but this is in his presence that we had this discussion that the two new hires were yet to be hired.
And I don't know either, quite honestly, because like I said before, I was surprised to see it in the budget because we made.
Yeah, I mean, so this is something that caught me off guard. Like,
No, they're hired, they're working. They're going to be taking over the contract. So but
Contract
I
wasn't
appreciate you being here and asking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm glad you're here because I've been wanting to thank all of you. I'm sending
thank
you
you.
all an
I mean, you guys are doing a great job, but we try to support as
Oh,
much
no,
as
I
we
think
can.
you made some great
Volunteers,
recommendations
yeah.
this year.
So, yeah, I mean, that was just one of my concerns. But the rest of the things, I mean, I agree, and we have gone through that details. Thanks.
You didn't have any
Thanks for
other
the good work,
questions
everyone.
you didn't have any other questions on behalf of?
No.
Okay, thank you again.
Susie Mayon, 16 Chesterfield Crosswicks Road. Thank you for working out the budget. I just have one follow-up question in regards to the HPC. Does the township plan on applying for grants that are available to do the survey? Because it has to be done by April the 1st. So I didn't hear any mention of that because that would then assist the budget because I believe it's either 50% or 75% of that survey can be done by grant from the state. So, and JSHPO.
Yeah, we'll have to have a discussion. I'll bring it up.
Because
at
it's
the next
April the
meeting.
1st is the deadline
Yes,
and
it's
it's
the
just
deadline,
around the
yes.
corner.
Oh, yes.
Yep,
Oh.
we should.
Yeah.
I know.
So,
I'll bring that for a discussion
yeah.
in 2 weeks
so,
and we can start working on
Yeah,
that.
I think that has to
Thank you,
be
Susie.
expedited.
Yes. Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Susie.
Agnes Marsala, 42 Cromwell Drive. I know I'm a little late to this party. I'm wondering if you guys have ever considered installing fast chargers that you could charge for in the lot here that might for EVs. And also, I'd like to know who I can thank. I don't know if you guys know. You must know that there was some filming done in the township. Who do we have to thank for that? And how much did we get for that?
The township got nothing for that.
And
Um,
why is that?
Well, actually, they made a decision that they wanted to come here and film.
Uh-huh.
They reached out to private individuals and private organizations.
But you
and
could still charge
some of
fees.
those folks did get money from them to use of their properties, but that was totally private, had nothing to
It
do
is
with the
time for the
township.
town to pass a film ordinance. I have put that out, I wrote that
Certified.
recommendation last year, because as soon as they came in and we didn't make any money, we got Netflix going up down the shore.
Yeah.
It is time to put in the film ordinance. I'm not sure why it's not being.
You could be certified by
I don't remember you
commission
bringing that up, Wendy, and
and
I
charge
think you're right,
fees,
Jen.
no matter if it's on private property or not.
Oh, I'm not saying she didn't. I said I don't recall it, but so yeah, so that's
100%.
okay. Then that's something we need to look at to do.
Yeah, it's something we can
Definitely a
consider.
good
And
suggestion.
as far as the EV charging stations, there was a state grant for EV charging stations in municipal lots. Last time I checked, it's been a little bit. We missed the deadline or they weren't offering the same amount of funding. We can look into it again, but
All right,
if we
great.
were to do it, I'd love to do it through the state grant.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. Yeah, let's put that on as.
I'll send it out to you for the
Well,
next
That's an
meeting.
easy lift.
They pay peanuts.
I don't know, but it,
Trust me, they came to me. They
Excuse
pay
me.
Peanuts.
Hightstown got
And they didn't want-
$20,000 for 3 parking spots for 2 weeks.
All right,
They
it's
want-
public comment, so Steve,
$2,500 a day for my parking.
let's let Steve speak.
Steve Hazen, 447 Main Street. Last time I asked that the planning board be in the historic continuing education. We should also include Glenn because he's the starting point. All the permits go through him. And also wonder if the survey is going to conclude other historical homes in the township, like 413 Ellisdale, where the movie was filmed. That's an older home. So is the survey going to include that? And if it's not, did they say they didn't want to be in it, or was there a survey done to them saying that they didn't want in it? And if that happened, then why wasn't I extended that same courtesy? And also, as to the roads in Ellisdale Road, just to make you aware, I think M&N Farms changed their policy. There are 18-wheelers going down that road all the time. I don't think the road was built for 18-wheelers. Now, it's a business and they're allowed to have deliveries, but that road is going to get beat up. So that's from there to the end of the township might be 5 miles. How much is it costing for margarine? So right there, that would put you at almost $5 million to repave that. So just so you're aware.
thanks, Steve.
Is there anybody else in the room who would wish to speak? Is there anybody online? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion and second to close public comment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's no executive, but our regular meeting will start at 7 o'clock on the dot. Can I get a motion and second to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
At least takes down all my parking lots of things.